Alright guys, here we go again. We're back at it. We're working on this bracelet here, and we have just finished making our revolve, and we're just about to do this extruded cut into our bracelet's body. So we've got this piece of line work that we drew, that we mirrored again, and it's all set to go. But now I have to admit, I did do a previous take on this video and realized that we're going to run into a bit of a sticky situation. Going to run into a problem. And I thought about trying to solve the problem without you knowing about it and then producing a perfect, flawless video for you to follow along with. But I thought I would instead just go ahead and smash right into that problem with you guys watching so that you could see that it's true. Sometimes we will run into issues with Solidworks. It is not a flawless program, and the way to handle that situation when you do come into it is just to try to find a workaround, whatever it is, and that's what we're going to do here. Okay, so let's take a look. Our goal is to create an extruded cut with these lines. So let me just start, and as we've learned in the past, you open up the feature extruded cut. It's going to ask you to choose a sketch. You can get right in here to your design tree and pick the sketch that you would like to do an extruded cut of, which in our case is sketch number 3, and just click on that. And here we go. So this is the problem I was talking about. That's not what we want to do. Now here's our extruded cut. If we plow this into our form right here, it's going to take out a big chunk of our piece, and we hit that green checkbox. Solidworks does not like that. It's got floating pieces inside of here. We now have created 2 different bodies. We've got this piece here, this piece here. We've got this thing, bodies to keep. It's asking us which of the 2 bodies do we want to keep. Is it this one or is it this one? And the answer is none of it. We don't want any of this situation. Okay, so cancel. All right, now we've still got the cut extrude feature is open. Okay, so let's just take a look at what is going on here. I'm going to hit the red X to just backtrack, and I'll fire it off again. And let's just take a look at this thing and see. Now, the way to look at the details of a feature that you're trying to apply is over here in your property manager. We all know this. So let's see. We've got our depth of the extrusion, which is 23 right now, and that changes as we pull and drag it. So that's not the issue. Then we've got direction number 2. That's not on, but if we did turn it on, it would go in both directions, and we'd be able to drag this in both directions. So we want to make sure that's off, because we only want to extrude in one direction, which is this way. And then we notice this one, thin feature. Now, thin feature adds a wall thickness to a single line, and we notice that that is on. I didn't turn it on, but it is on. Who knows why? Solidworks just seems to think, for some reason, that I'd like to have thin feature on for this cut extrude, and I don't. Now I also notice here that if I hit this reverse direction button, that shape flips upside down back and forth from one way to the other. And I notice that there's a depth or a thickness of 10 millimeters. So if I adjust that to say 2 millimeters, that's our problem. See, I realize it's adding a thickness to each one of these lines, where in fact I just want to extrude out each one of these lines and take a little sliver out of my piece. So if I turn that off, then suddenly I try to get in here. I can't get the cut extrude to work. It's just not working. In here I have a box called selected contours, and you can see sketch 3 is the sketch that I'm trying to extrude. I can clear that out or delete it and then click it again, and there we go. So let's try this again. I'm going to go here. Up. Now see, when I click 1 it gives me what I want, but when I click 2 it adds that thin feature again. Ugh, why are you doing this? SolidWorks, so frustrating. This is not what I want you to do. Let's see here. I'll just put like something crazy in here, like 20 millimeters, and it's not going to do that. 10 millimeters, that's where we started, right? Okay, well, so this is just not working. For some reason, something to do with this sketch is set up wrong, and it's causing SolidWorks to assume we want a thin feature when we choose both of the lines, and it's absolutely not what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that red X and cancel out of that altogether. Okay, So now we need to think, what are we going to do? Let's troubleshoot. I'm going to open up a Cut Extrude feature, and without hitting Sketch 3, I'm going to just click one of these lines. There you go. That's what I like. That's what I'm looking for, okay? Now, but again, it's going in 2 directions. I realize that. I don't want it to go in 2 directions. I want it to only go in 1 direction. So I have to look over here at my property manager and try to diagnose the problem. I realize, look at this, direction 2 is now turned on. So we've alleviated one problem, but we got another one now. Thin feature's off, but direction 2 is on. So let's turn it off. There we go. All right. Now I have to pay attention to a couple more things. See this little arrow right here? Flip cut. It's pointing up, which means it's going to cut away everything from this surface up. Okay, so that's what I want. Just want to make sure it's pointing the right direction. If it were for some reason pointing down, which I can adjust the direction of this flip cut right here, flip side to cut, then we would get this problem. Ugh. See, when you fire it off that way, it cuts away everything below that surface. We definitely don't want that. So, Control Z. Okay, back at it. Extruded cut. Select the line. There we go. So just confirm that that little arrow is pointing up. Just like that. Make sure you're only going in 1 direction. And then hit the green checkbox. There we go. So now we've taken that sliver out. Let me turn on my shaded with edges. Okay, now let's go again. Open up another instance of Extruded Cut and hit the bottom one. Boom. There we go. And we're noticing again, SolidWorks wants to go in 2 directions. It really does, but we're not going to let it. We don't want it to do that. Because our plan is here to do a circular pattern of these 2 cuts all the way around in 360 degrees. And so we don't want cuts out of both sides, because that's just not gonna work with what our plan is. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit the green checkbox. Oh, whoops. Oh, another problem. Nightmare. Not really. It looks like our flip to cut was facing the wrong direction, and so now all we're left with is just the little section that we wanted to remove in the first place. So let's get back over here to our design tree, get to our cut extrude that caused us that strife, and we'll just do a right click and go edit feature, and we're just going to hit this little button right here. If we zoom in, take a look. If we zoom in, there's our little arrow facing the wrong direction. So flip side to cut and green checkbox, and there it is. That's what we wanted. There we go. So now we have accomplished our goal. We have used these 2 pieces of line work to cut away our from our bracelet, and we're good to go. But it certainly wasn't easy to get there. It took a little while, and we had to really pay attention to some of the stuff SolidWorks was automatically doing for us, which was things like assuming we wanted to cut in 2 directions, assuming we wanted a thin feature turned on. We didn't want any of that, so we had to go in here and we had to turn it all off. Okay, so if you're moving along with your design and you run into some problems like that where it just seems like certain features have certain parameters pre-selected for you, just go back over here and shut them down. Okay, so that is just a real life example of how issues are going to come up, and it's nothing to worry about. Luckily for us, we're in SolidWorks where everything is totally flexible and adjustable and really easy to fix. Okay, so in our next one, we'll do the circular pattern that I was talking about before, but I think I'll keep this tutorial short and sweet and leave you to tune in for the next one. All right.